All right, what's up, everybody? Terminator Juice. I had a few days off this end of this week, and I took 3 days off last week. Yeah, so gonna do a little Juice opinions. Gonna be a combination of some topics, and then I'm gonna play the Phoenix Rising demo. While I played it and recorded 40 minutes of gameplay, so I can kind of describe as I'm playing. I didn't think my PC could handle running the game and streaming it, just seeing how bad control worked or didn't work last time I tried to stream. So before we get, I'll wait to get some people in here. I don't know. It's a Thursday at 1 p.m. So maybe my European brothers will be here. But first thing I want to talk about is just some random thing that popped up. Robert of Gaming With Me, he shared a link to Mario 64 with ray tracing. I don't know if the full game has been done up that way, but it's just a short video of somebody going around one area, and then we got a little discussion about that, how that looks versus like a full on remake and stuff. So I'm screen sharing here. This is one of the notorious Mario 64 Unreal Engine videos. I actually didn't watch this yet, so I just want to see how this looks. Obviously the Switch, and how's the volume, because it's really loud in my ear. It's like super loud. But obviously this isn't possible on the Switch. And like I said, I didn't actually watch this, so it's not bad. It's looking a little washed out on my screen, but they never get the movement right in the Unreal Engine ones, so I'm not going to judge it as an actual game, just like the visual style. Obviously, in the hands of Nintendo, they could do a lot better, but this is just a fan-made thing, so it's not going to be anywhere near the level of Nintendo. But if they did it on the Switch, if they use Unreal Engine, then it would be pretty blurry if they went full 3D. So this is like just an example of like a next gen looking remake, built from the ground up type thing. Like I said, I don't think Nintendo would go this route, but this still kind of stays pretty true to the original visual style. You can make the argument, well, if they did it in like the Odyssey engine, it would look different. But let's look up Peach's Castle in Odyssey just to get a refresher how that looks. The very typical flat ground texture that Nintendo implements. I mean, at a distance it looks good, but anytime you get close up to this grass. But this looks really good. I mean, it's not too far away from that Unreal Engine, to be honest. And I don't know if this is actually running on the Switch or if this is PC emulator. I guess it doesn't say in the title. So you'd have something like this. Let's get out of here. Nope. I should have seen if there's one that was just like walking around Peach's Castle, and we're gonna get ads. Sorry about that. So this is like one possible scenario. I mean, it's a good looking Peach's Castle for sure, and it still kind of has that Mario 64-ish art direction. Which I wouldn't be opposed to. I wouldn't be opposed to, if it looked like, if they were gonna do like a remake. Obviously, they're not, because they barely put any effort into the 3D All Stars. The emulation is basically just an emulated 720p 30 frames per second, 4x3. It just was the bare bones. So That's the scenario is probably never going to happen. But if they were going to do it, I wouldn't be mad at this. I wouldn't be mad at having this level of visuals in a Mario 64 remake. I wouldn't be. Then they could keep the levels simple. Just add some flourishes to them. You wouldn't have to, like, if you went a full on, like, let's say the next Switch, or a couple generations from now, and you went full on like Pixar level visuals. I don't know if it'd work with just some of the smaller stages in Mario 64. If they would have to, really add to the environments, make them bigger, make them more, filled with trees and flowing grass. I wouldn't be mad at flowing grass, in a Mario game. It doesn't have to be as long as like Breath of the Wild or anything, but like I'll take it over, not for the whole game either. Not just some sections. I think there is some areas where there is some grass, but and get rid of the flat ground texture. But the main point is that you can't just remake Mario 64 with like I said, Pixar level visuals and then keep the levels identical in scope. You'd have to expand upon it. I feel the same way about Ocarina of Time. So that's one possible approach. Me personally, I don't really need a remake of Mario 64. Just keep making new 3D Mario games. But here's the other option, and that is to take Mario 64 and remaster it with some modern flourishes like reflections and lighting, but and then higher resolution for the game, and then just clean up the, they could go through and clean up these coins, obviously, so that they're not jaggy, but keep basically the same game and add these advanced lighting techniques, add this advanced reflections. This is what I want, because then it still feels like I'm playing Mario 60. You could have the core, just like they did for the Shadow of the Colossus. You could have the core game still there, so it plays identically to Mario 64. Clean up this HUD, obviously. They did that for the 3D All-Stars, which is one of the few things they did. But it wasn't an actual redone texture. They just had some AI up construction thing or whatever. So this is what I would like. You got real-time shadows, you got realistic lighting and realistic reflections. Clean up the HUD, clean up the Mario character model a little, make it so he doesn't have that really low quality one. And you could probably just make some really beautiful backgrounds to go in here, and that's really that's all I want. Like, this looks almost perfect. On my phone it looked perfect, and now I'm noticing the HUD elements are jaggy. Like, this is what I'd want. I would rather have a remake a remaster almost, where they just add enhanced effects on top of the original game. And I think that would be awesome. That would get me to buy. I'd definitely buy that day one, and if it launched on a new system, that would be something that would guarantee I would buy, like, the Switch 2 at launch. Like, this way more than for me personally, way more than a full-on remake for this particular game. Now, Ocarina of Time, I think I'd rather have a remake for that. Like, take the core idea, which a lot of Zelda games kind of do have that same. Some people say Twilight Princess is just very similar, and this guy's really good at Mario 64. Some people say Twilight Princess is basically like Ocarina of Time, remake. But you can't just walk out onto Hyrule Field and make it HD and change nothing else. Why don't you promote your channel more? I don't know, man. This is just a hobby. I'm not too caught up in the whole YouTube thing. Like, I love doing the podcast. I like doing Juice Opinions every once in a while. Is this just the music? Yeah. But I'm not like super worried about. Why is it trying to give me the music? Oh, cause that's why. I don't want the theme. I want to show the clip. Because the first time I saw Hyrule Field with my own eyes, it blew me away. But if you just remade the game in Breath of the Wild engine, but kept everything the same scale, like just these few trees, it just wouldn't be impressive. Like, you would have to build upon the castle here. It's just to the point where you couldn't just remake it in its exact scale, exact size, because it would just feel lacking in comparison. So I think they would have to just take the core storyline, all the main areas, and just build from scratch. Kind of a reimagining, almost like Resident Evil 2. Like that's what I want to see for Ocarina of Time. Whereas Mario 64, since we have so many great 3D Mario games, and he's like, I don't really need to revisit that in like some new fashion, other than just have it look clean, have it be widescreen, have it be 60 frames per second, and just add some enhancements, like I said, like the real-time lighting and shadows and some reflections. And for that game, for me, that would be all I need. But for this game, I mean, it's still a huge field, don't get me wrong. Even seeing it now, I mean, it's still massive. But, just having a random wall here kind of bordering the thing, stuff like that wouldn't fly with like a modern remake. Like Shadow of the Colossus, it worked because it was a huge area, kind of a seamless world to begin with, and just making it look gorgeous. You'd have to do something about this border. I mean, there'd have to be some justification for these walls if you're going to make it, in a modern looking game. So I don't know, it's just my opinion. There's really, whatever you feel is right. Like, nothing I'm saying is going to change your opinion. Nothing you tell me is going to change mine. I know what I want, and I know that you know what you want. So some of the other things I'd want to change is I don't want to have to equip the bow and arrow. Like, if you're going to do Ocarina of Time, just let me press ZR and gyro aim. Like, I don't want to have to ever equip the bow again, like, and hit a button that's not ZR. I don't want to have to equip a shield and stuff. Like, bombs and like that, I don't think you can get away from that if you're gonna do a remake, like the hook shot and stuff. But certain elements I want, and like every time you walk up to something and it automatically, I forget who did the video, but they accidentally, it might have been Link's Awakening, I can't remember, but they just kept accidentally bumping into the owl or getting into its circle where it would start talking again, and you can't really skip it. But just some tweaks, and I would rather have Ocarina of Time built from the ground up. So that's my take on that. And I don't know, I didn't expect a whole lot of people to jump in this random juice opinions in the middle of the day, but I should have wrote down the other like newsworthy topics that I wanted to hit. Ratchet and Clank got a release date, June 11th. That's like the first next gen, true next gen game that we've had a release date for, and it's June. So I'm wondering if that's literally going to be the first one. A Zelda beat 'em, like a Zelda fighter. That'd be interesting. But just for 2021, it's really crazy that like the first true next gen game we know about is coming out second, basically in the middle of the year, June 11th. Resident Evil Village was supposed to be a next gen only, but now it's coming to current gen. That's still, what is that, May? I think that's May. So really nothing. If you have a Series X or a PS5, I mean, there's really nothing coming for till summer, really. So that's kind of disappointing. I thought Ratchet and Clank might hit March or April, but not. And some of the other things, I started looking kind of more for a next gen console because I did my tax return last weekend, and I'm getting over $1,000 back. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can't start paying a little more attention, try to snag one of these systems, and then it's just like, do I really even need one? Like, I don't know. I got this. The PC I have is pretty much on par with PS5 ish, in between PS5 and Series X, minus any ray tracing capabilities. I'm like, do I really? And I don't even care that much about Ratchet and Clank. I thought the reboot or remake on PS4 was pretty boring. It was just kind of a sluggish, slow. It just wasn't that fun of a game. The combat wasn't anything special. Like, I'll talk about Immortals in a bit here. The combat in Immortals was infinitely more fun and exciting than anything I encountered in Ratchet and Clank on PS4. So I'm not that excited. Insomniac's not that great of a studio, in my opinion, when it comes to gameplay. So I could honestly, other than it just looking impressive, I could live without that game, especially for full price. But I don't know, man. I'm like, I want to have something because I have my TV upstairs. I have the PS4 Pro, which games look really good on. So the PS5 makes less sense than going to a Series X from a Xbox One S, which I haven't even had hooked up in my living room for like more than half a year. And it's like, I kind of wouldn't mind having a powerful, next gen Xbox. That's a huge upgrade over what I have hooked up to my TV, so I can have 4K HDR, 120 frames per second for some games, But at the same time, I have this PC that's really comparable, and I can play all the Xbox games that way, other than Quantum Break for whatever reason is only on consoles. So I'm like, so I don't need the PS5 because the PS4 Pro is very visually games look really good still right now, but I don't need the Xbox because I have the PC that So it's just really, it's a weird situation for me. So it's almost like whichever one becomes available first is the one I'm buying. The other one I'll buy at the end of the year probably. I can't justify a PS5. I do want to experience the controller. Yeah, you can buy the controller and play it on PC. I just don't know if they use how the haptics work on PC. It's something I need to look at. And plus, I don't want to end up with two controllers when I finally get the system. So I'm just like really torn. And I honestly don't need either. But, I'll get into this in a bit. When I'm playing Immortals on PC, the demo at 60 frames per second, then I just played about 30 minutes on my PS4 Pro at 30 frames per second, and I immediately could feel the difference. It's like as good as it looks with HDR on my 4K TV, on my PC at 60 frames per second, max settings not fully max settings. It's like, what's the trade-off? I think I'd rather have the 60 frames per second. So honestly, I'd probably just be smart just to do more gaming on my PC for the time being, and then when there's a must-have, like God of War, Ragnarok type of game, and the systems are just available, for the most part, I probably should just wait, honestly. But, it's got that itch. It's like the amiibo craze. It's like you see it in the store. I don't need this frickin' Sonic, but I know that they're never going to be restocked or, at the time. So I snagged it up. And I don't even like Sonic, so it's crazy. Feels like there's a couple more things I wanted to talk about, but let's just get into. I'm gonna just talk over this footage. Bear with me. You're gonna think I'm a Ubisoft salesman here, because this game, to me, and I said it in my Game of the Year discussion, is the best Ubisoft game I've ever played. This is my favorite Ubisoft game. Before it was probably Trials Evolution, and then Prince of Persia, the 360 reboot, and Sands of Time were probably right there. I never played Beyond Good and Evil, so I don't know about that one. But as far as all the Far Cries and all, a lot of the other Ubisoft Assassin's Creeds I never cared for. So this is the Fenyx Rising demo. It's available on anything you have to play games on other than cell phone. It's available. And can you tell me how that audio sounds, if it's loud or not? I don't want it to be too loud. I skip most of the dialogue coming up. Let me check. I did lower it, so hopefully it's not too loud. So the demo is, it's a couple gigs, 2 to 4 gigs depending on the system. It's a good sample, good taste of what this game has to offer. So I'm gonna kind of describe what I was doing and how it relates to the final game, because this demo is completely unique to the game. This island you're on is completely, it's not in the main game, but it's got good music. It's the guy who composed Ori, both Ori games. It's got a really cool art style. Let me pause it for a second. Oops. Let me go back. It's weird because you'd think, at first glance, you're like, maybe it's a Breath of the Wild kind of clone. Maybe it's, sometimes like this ground texture, almost has no texture. It's almost just solid colors. But then you look at the leaves in these trees and they're really well done. I mean, it's very detailed. It's a very, full looking foliage. But just the use of color. You got a lot of these trees are like these bright pinks. You got these deep greens and you got these amazing blues on the water. And it's just a really awesome color palette. I don't like this design of Phoenix. I like mine, the one I went with in the game, way better. It's not terrible. It's just costume and the face is and hair is a little different, but you can make it a guy, you can make it a girl. So here's like what the gods look like in this game. I didn't love them at first, but I actually grew to like them. And the dialogue's it's lighthearted. It's not super funny. It's trying to be funny. But here's your combat. So this is just basic. I put it on hard, but your RB/R1 is your sword attack, and then your if you're on Switch, it'd be R. So then your ZR, your R on Xbox, or your R2 on PlayStation is your axe. So you have your heavy attacks do stun damage, which is that yellow meter, and once they're stunned, you get that little effect. So I was kind of waiting here for him. So his stun meter right now is this bar, and it's empty. So I'm using sword attacks, so I just damage them. If I use axe attacks, then it builds up the stun meter. But they give you some, like, you start this demo with 2 moves you don't have at the beginning of the game, and your character's got some extra moves that you don't have, like, when you start the game. So I think here I just went through and just went to see, one of the things I do recommend is turn off this message panel. That's like the first thing I'd recommend. It's just annoying. So yeah, I'm gonna start exploring this demo area. It's pretty large, and it's a good, like I said, it's a good taste of what the game actually gives you. So you have to hold the left trigger to bring up the bow and the right trigger to shoot, or you can hit the right bumper to shoot the arrow and guide it. So you have like these gauntlets that you can lift things. Doesn't have to be metal. You got these plants here, and then when you hold R3 using rumble, it can help you identify things in the environment that you might want to go to. So now that you did that, now it's on your compass, and this is ambrosia, which is you collect to upgrade your health in the main game. Which in here they're here in the demo, but you can't upgrade your health. Let me just skip past this stuff. So it's got climbing, and here's your stamina, the blue, which you start with only 4 when you start the game. So the things where it's like Zelda, obviously you're climbing, which you can't do this jump climbing until later in the game, but it's here and right away in the demo. And so it's got the stamina meter, it's got climbing, it's got gliding, it's got the gauntlets that are kind of like magnesis, but not really. So here's the ambrosia. You collect this. I think you need 4 to get your first health upgrade, and then next couple times you need 5, then you need 6, and so on and so forth. So this is just the blue I was talking about for the water. It's just this, the color palette's just stunning, and honestly, this isn't even in HDR. The HDR presentation of this game, like, this looks great, but honestly, these greens and these pinks and these colors and this blue, looks like I have the saturation at about 70%, maybe 80% of what the HDR experience brought me on my OLED TV. So like I said, as good as this looks in 60, it's still kind of a tough decision what I'd rather have, the 30 frames with HDR or 60 without it. It'd be a tough call, honestly, for me for games moving forward. But it's just a beautiful looking game. Everything's moving, the trees, grass is flowing. The only thing that's really missing is like dynamic weather. But you see here how like this is very Breath of the Wild feeling. You got the grass, individually shadowed and moving, and it looks great. It worked in Zelda. It works in this game. I mean, obviously, at a higher resolution and higher frame rate and HDR, if you're playing on another system, it just only makes like that effect even better. But it's not like they did it first. So, but I don't really mind. That's a nice shot there. It's a really good shot. If you're gonna copy something, copy it, but still add your own personality or flair to it. Like, and if you're gonna copy something, Breath of the Wild, something good to copy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna copy a game, copy the best game ever made. But also, while playing the game, I rarely feel like I really get those Breath of the Wild vibes, to be completely honest with you. So here's some combat with a bear. He gets some hits in, if I remember correctly. And these are just animals. Like, this isn't your main. Yeah, I mean, I have the brightness turned down a bit because my monitor's super bright. So it depends on the monitor. It's not really that bright unless you have your TV's brightness set. It's definitely, if you're looking at the sun reflecting off the water, yeah, I mean, it should make you squint because that's how bright light works, and it looks even more realistic with a good HDR display. But it's not gonna be for everyone either, and it does do day and night though. You will get night, not in this demo, but in the real game, the full game. So there was a little combat with just some animals. They put up a pretty good fight. There's some pretty tough animals to fight in this game. There's like griffins. There's like the 3-headed dog, which I also think has wings. Cyclops, which is the last boss of the demo. There's some tough enemies, and I actually probably more than halfway through the game before I developed a technique. Probably 3/4 of the way through the game, I developed a pretty good technique. But just like one of the other things that copies of Zelda is the more leveled up you get like, now the bears are blue, or they have a blue glow around them, and then they have a blue and purple glow. But you can't look at that water. I just love the color blue, and it's just done so well in this game. I also forgot to mention there was a few hiccups throughout the game. I don't know if it's because I was recording. I didn't try playing it without recording, so I don't know. But that's like the marker for the main quest there. And I'm just kind of exploring, because if you're going to play this demo, maybe don't even watch this first, but there is so much to explore just in the demo. I played it on Switch, and it crashed my Switch, so I didn't get to finish it. I played it on Xbox, and then I played it on PC, the demo, and I found something new every time I played. And this last time I found a cave I had with a treasure chest I hadn't found before. So it's just really fun. It's like I said, the music is great. The story is just kind of lighthearted. And the end of the game, the story was like actually surprisingly hit me more than I was expecting. It was really a cool way to end the game. And then it lets you just, do you want to just resume before you beat the boss like Zelda and finish stuff, or you want to do New Game Plus? I opted to do New Game Plus, and then accidentally saved over my original save file, so I couldn't go back and get all the vaults and just kind of complete the game that way. So I was a little bit that was a bit of a mistake on my part. But so you have gliding. You also can hold, which is an ability you have to upgrade. You can kind of glide faster, which is something that's you'll use it as soon as you get it. You'll never not use it. Upgrading your character. I didn't really go into the screen here in the demo, but you can put different wings on different swords that give you little different stat boosts. And then here's how the guided arrow, which is a really cool mechanic. I love these little puzzles. This is one of the first in the demo. This is the first time you're seeing like some of the in-world like puzzles. So this one's pretty straightforward, but there's ones that are really complicated, and you need to get an ability where you can slow the arrow down and speed it up, and then you run out of stamina too if you don't have enough. So you go through all these rings and then set the fire ablaze, and then it unlocks the chest, which gives you a pretty good that's how you get new gear. There's all kinds of armor, helmets, which you have the helmet on but have it not visible, so you get the stat boost, but you don't have to see some of the ugly helmets. And then all the gear, you can put the one on that has the best like stat boost, but then cosmetically you'll unlock cosmetic ones that you can apply. So you can take this one, which gives you 2 extra stamina, and make it look like this other one that has a lame stat boost. Like, I forget, I can't even think of an example, but a really lame one. So it's that I wasn't expecting that. And then you can change your character at any point. But so yeah, when I was playing the game, at first I was like, trying to get a feel for it. I don't know what to do. Kind of did the story. See, I'll just go back. I didn't do it in the actual demo, but it's got a nice bit of customization. It's no RPG, so you're nothing crazy like that. So I put this bow on, and it has 22.5% damage with a charge shot, and then when you unlock the gear, when you upgrade it, it becomes a 27% boost with headshots. So then you'll have a bunch of bows. So here's basically your resources. You'll find as you battle enemies, you'll find like crystal like stacks that you cut down, and you get these 3 are your main. These 4 actually are your main for your upgrades here. So you see how this bar, you have 1, so you got 5 upgrades beyond the stock. So that one, the bow showed a level 4. I shouldn't have done that. So that 4 there, that means that boost will unlock when, man, that goes fast. I definitely didn't stay in this menu long. That 4 means that you have to have your upgrade of the bow to here. You can see the demo already gave you 2, so you get the upgrade, which you have to have a ton of these, and you use them each time. And the bow, sword, and the axe, I believe, use the same. And then the helmet and chest armor, whatever it's called, uses a different one that the others don't. And then you can upgrade your potions, how effective they are. You get different birds here. You build up your stamina meter by doing the vaults, which are like shrines. And then these are your components to make your health potions. I didn't even realize I had a mount, which I didn't use. You got different wings. Like this helmet might give you a boost for air combos or something, and then the next helmet might, if you have full health, or your first attack on an enemy will do 300% damage. I love that. I use that helmet a lot. You know, so stuff like that. There's a lot of depth there. So basically, that's what I'm trying to say. And then the exploration is like, I love exploration in games, and that's some of the Olympian figs that you can brew into potions for. That's like a boost your damage, and then you have a shield, you have a stamina refill, and then you have a health potion. So like just exploring, there's all kinds of nooks and crannies with either chests or resources. Like here's some of the yellow resources, which gives you, you know, for shield. And then you have your potion, which I think it's first time you go to it's a cutscene. And this shows you a little bit of the humor. It's not like hilarious, but it's lighthearted, and it's like whether you laugh or not, it still gives you a little smile, maybe, you know, the first time. You don't have to ever see that again. It's just the first time. So then you come here and you just craft the max amount based on the resources you have. And then does a nice little cutscene that you can kind of skip through each time, you know, but you can skip through it pretty quickly. So that just added to some of my potions. So I have 2 of the health boost, 2 of the shield. So here we go. This is you know, this is, you're probably getting the idea. This is a lot of what the game is. It's traversal, it's exploration, it's resource gain, you know, getting resources, it's combat. Then you have the vaults, which are like shrines with a lot of puzzles. And the arrow thing, when you shoot through there, those become, like I said, more challenging. There's one which you'll see where you have to find these blue orbs and put them. You'll see when I get there. It's just a lot of different things to do, and I kind of thought it was getting stale for a little bit. I took a break, and then I was like, oh wow, well this one's those blue orbs again. But man, there's a lot of puzzle elements surrounding getting the blue orbs, you know. So it felt fairly fresh, I'd say, for most of the game, for me. And there's always something to work towards. So it's like, oh, I need one more ambrosia to boost my health. So I go to the top of a tall spot. I look around. I find like 5 of them. I end up going to all 5. You know, like an hour later, I'm still just exploring, and I never even went back to use the ambrosia to boost my health. You know, so it's like I got lost in the game quite often. And here's another combat. This chest is only unlocked because it shows a sword and an axe. You have to kill all the enemies in order for this chest to become unlocked. So I just kind of went in, guns blazing. I used the Ares uppercut, whatever it's called, as a good, when you got a bunch of enemies around you. You got the combo meter over here, which I stopped. I should have kept going. And when your stamina builds back up, that's what those spikes was using stamina. And then there's a hammer that also uses stamina. So the big part of the struggle is maintaining your stamina, because that's how you dodge. That's how you shoot the your arrows and guide the arrows. That's how you use your special abilities. So if you run out of stamina, which you will, a lot of times you gotta like play more defensive. But if you don't have a dodge because your stamina's gone, you're gonna get hit. You could die. So it's really more deep, or a lot more depth than I ever imagined. And there I just did both specials, and I drained my stamina meter completely. And it comes up very slowly. So it's a high risk, high reward there. You might, if you don't have stamina, some of these quicker enemies that do big damage, and you can't dodge their attacks, you're toast. You're going to die. Yeah, the underwater swimming, there's not a whole lot of reason to swim underwater. So here's you collect these blue. These become your stamina. You know, you can use them individually or brew them and use the potion all at once. So this is, I never took this path. This is my 3rd time through the demo. I didn't take this path before. Well, I went up here, but once I get up here, which I'll show you, it's just more ambrosia, which I ended up right where And some of these statues are just really impressive looking with the. All right, so this time I never went this way in my other 2 times through this demo. Technically, I played on Stadia as well. So these enemies appear. These are some tougher ones with the shield. You have to use the axe to break their defenses, or you can use your special. I try to take out, one at a time. These guys with Medusa hair, are pretty tough, especially when they start glowing blue and you get the harder version. He isn't doing a lot here, but that was a nice little finisher. Odysseus was a spy sent by mortals to steal the secret of the gods from the site. So I never found this before on the demo. So there's lots of areas, destructible walls. It's pretty obvious, very Zelda-like. But this is like a mini puzzle to treasure chest. Like, this is pretty simple. You just stand on there. Back that up. So a lot of times you'll enter an area and you'll see an object that's red with a padlock. So that means you have to find something, whether it's this pedestal to stand on. In this case, sometimes you have to light a torch. Like, there'll be one lit and one unlit. You have to light it, and then now this item becomes usable. There might be a lever you have to find and hit, and then you have like 10 seconds to shoot this arrow. There's a lot of varieties to that simple idea, but this one is very simple. You just stand on the pedestal, you shoot the thing with an arrow, and it opens the gate, and then you get resources. So imagine, like, would be like, I don't even know how to compare it, like the easiest shrine in Zelda Breath of the Wild, just like a straightforward one. And then some of them will be so complex that you're just like, you spend 15-20 minutes just to get the chest, so, and it's not, chest doesn't guarantee you're going to have something really good, but just the it's just fun, in my opinion, just to do the act to solve the puzzle. And you can go over there. I don't think I did in this playthrough. Just more resources and enemies to fight. Nothing special in that area. And it's deceptively big too, because this demo at first glance doesn't look like there's much to it, but there's a lot of stuff to do in this demo. And I will say, since we've already seen the comic, but this guy's with the hammer, he's definitely a lot tougher. He just took half my health. And then I ran out of stamina there, so now I have to do attacks. And he almost kills me. I had to heal. I'm not doing a very good job of perfect dodging either. So once he gets stunned, then you have that gold bar. You have a certain amount of time, certain amount of damage you can do before he wakes, gets unstunned. So I believe this one gives me a new costume, which is a good example of. Let's see what the ability says. That's 20% damage. Our defense, that's a good one. And then, so you can you can have it on, but have it not visible. So then here, +1 to your health chunk. So this just for this demo. But if you have level 4 upgrade to your gear, at 120% of your health chunk on a killing blow gets, and a chunk is. And it's a cool outfit too. So the chunk is just this. So it'll fill that plus 20%, and then it auto fills all chunks eventually fill. So if my damage was this sliver, it'll auto get to here without doing anything, but it'll never get here if I don't use the healing or find ambrosia. So now I have at least decent outfit on. And this is like little side thing. I don't even remember if there's even a chest over here. But it's something to do, something to explore, and I never even explored down here around the back, so who knows, there might be something to see or do. You can see like a bear there in the right. These wind updrafts are located throughout the game, in the game world, and used in pretty much all the shrines / vaults. I was calling vaults from here on out. So I got a new axe, and what's this one get you? Plus 45 damage, 45% damage to a stunned enemy. So that's a pretty big one. I mean, that's a pretty big, nice boost. I don't think there's anything up here either. So here I'm just marking, I'm seeing what I completed, and then you can hide so you don't see your completed stuff. And you can kind of find the, like there's a Constellation Puzzle. I'm feeling the rumble, that's why I'm moving this around. The rumble will guide you. That's the other thing. I played the Switch version, and the HD rumble on my Pro Controller was pathetic. It was by far the worst rumble. I would say the DualShock 4 had the best rumble for that particular action where you're searching, but then the Xbox version had rumble in the triggers for certain actions. So it's I would put it PlayStation and the PlayStation 5 version probably pretty incredible, honestly. I'm definitely going to replay the game once I get a PS5. And I would say the Xbox One controller is really close, and then the Switch controllers has gyro aiming, so you got your trade-off. But the Switch version, honestly, it's playable. It does not even. Maybe this is over dramatic. It doesn't look like the same game to me. Like, the colors are even more muted. The draw distance is really, really low, really, especially when you're gliding. And it has really bad. The demo had really bad stutters during combat. So if that's all you got, portable mode looks good. But if you have any other system, I would recommend it on that over Switch. That's with actual hands-on. It does feel like Immortals, but it's lost its soul, in my opinion. So just another, like I said, this deceptively huge. Like, this area didn't look that big, but there's just a lot of nooks and crannies. There's a lot to explore, and this demo doesn't have a ton of stuff to find, and you're not really working towards character upgrades and stuff in the demo. So maybe you'll have less incentive, but I still insist that if you play the demo, take your time, man. Set an hour aside and just really look around. I mean, I just noticed something. Okay, it wasn't what I thought. I thought it was a little steel box, but it was just I thought that was one of the steel boxes you'll see later. It wasn't. They definitely went for during the day, very bright, sun glaring, blinding kind of sun effect, which I like. I don't think it's overdone in this game. It makes the contrast between the bright areas and the dark areas, especially with HDR. I know I keep saying that, but this is probably the best HDR experience I've ever seen in a game, for sure. Was this game. Alright, we'll skip. We've seen climbing. I was just really sucked into the exploration here. So this is just an ambrosia. And you'll see when I pick it up, it filled my health up. And now I have 4 of them, which you can't upgrade in the demo, but it switches to a cutscene here. So this little combat, these guys can be pretty tough in the beginning of the game, though, because I think you start with 4 health chunks or 3, and your stamina is only 4, the one single bar. But I don't know. It might not look it, I just have a blast playing this. And sometimes it's difficult because the camera doesn't. There's multiple enemies. I just have a blast, like wrecking, either just destroying these birds, or actually struggling having a tough opponent where you have to, really have to be careful and strategize your stamina and stuff. I just had a blast.
Phoenix had almost recovered the siren song, which would dispel Circe's curse.
I just have a habit of resource collecting too. So here's what's called a Constellation Puzzle. You can find these blue orbs and place them to match. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory. You got to match that pattern. So this one you just have to get 2, and you have to figure out how to get them. So usually your sign of 15. I paid 30. Honestly, I wish I paid 60. It's a $60 game, no question about it. Like I said in the beginning, it's one of the best. It's the best Ubisoft game I ever played. If it ever hits 15, and I mean obviously no brainer, but at 30, it's still, in my opinion, it's a no brainer. I was at 48 hours, and then I beat the boss. Well, I actually had to do some stuff, and then I overwrit my old save file, so then it put me back at 0 time. So I don't know exactly what I ended up, but it was probably between 50 and 52 hours and then I didn't get all the vaults, and I accidentally saved over that save file, so I couldn't go back and replay, and get all the vaults and do everything. So to me, the first playthrough, most people are going to probably hit 40 hours. I could have hit more, but I was cramming to get it in to get the game finished for the Game of the Year podcast. So I kind of rushed through, didn't take my time like I normally would, and I totally want to replay the whole game, especially if I get a PS5 anytime soon. But if it hits 15, I mean, if you don't buy it at 15, like you're missing out on just like. But just play the demo, you'll know. Like, this demo is nothing. There's nothing of this demo is in the game. Like, you're not going to spoil anything. It's just, it gives you a taste of that. So I had to talk over that. But just another one where you had to. So I had to put that crate on there to get in here. And then I knew this because I had played this demo before. You throw that through there, and then you get the blue orb. And then the other one you have to do a combat. But a lot of times, there's ones where you got to find 6 of these blue orbs, and they all have a puzzle locking them. So this one I had to fight this guy, just get him out of the way, and then activate 2 switches. Which this anvil means it needs to be a really heavy thing. And the feather means that it can be something small, like a rock. This guy, there's a version of him, I think it's Achilles, basically is that guy, but so fast. He's just constantly hopping and attacking. So I had to push. Later on in the game you'll be able to lift these, but for now you have to push the bigger ones. So that activates all the yellow. If I only had one light thing, it'd only have one corner would be yellow. So then you put this one on. This seems pretty simple, but this is the demo. They get a lot more complex. And there's just there's a lot of this stuff to do in the game. I always try to throw it, see if I can't get it to land where in the hole. So now I got I do the shape. This unlocks this harp, which is not in the main game. A lot of times it just gives you these coins which you use to upgrade your abilities. Like in the bottom right corner here, you have these your lifting gloves. You have the hammer. You have your arrow. You can guide, and you have these spikes. You can go in, use the coins from a lot of these puzzles, and upgrade so that if you you can charge this up and it comes out with double the spikes, and does more damage. And then you get the bird you can send to attack. You get a shield charge, which I rarely used. So that's a lot of the puzzle stuff you do is just to upgrade those moves. And then the vaults give you lightning bolts, which you use to boost your stamina. And then you use the ambrosia to boost your health. And you also get the ability to pull enemies towards you. With that's one of the abilities with the gauntlets. That becomes useful for these guys. Can be tough. I mean, these guys don't always do a ton of damage, but if you're trying to take on like a Cyclops and there's 3 of these guys around, they'll wreck your day. I mean, I've died so many times by not killing those guys first. So now I got the harp. It's telling me, 500 meters to the main objective, dead center. And so I was flying back. I noticed this was open. And then it's just some resources that you would, in the main game, you'd use to upgrade your armor and your weapons and stuff. Just always something, like people said Breath of the Wild, there's so vague, nothing to do. But if you were playing Breath of the Wild the right way, you rarely could go anywhere without getting distracted, finding something to do. So we'll get to... Oh, there's more enemies here. I would recommend playing it on hard too. I think it's way more fun. I died quite a bit, but I think it's more rewarding. Later in the game, you get, like, Ares gives you, like, doubles your damage, like, just permanently. And it kind of becomes too easy to take out enemies, but at that point, I didn't mind because it's like, I just want to get through. I need to get through this game. I'm glad I can take them out half the time. And this is another path I never took till, I think, this playthrough. But see, my stamina ran out. Luckily, I had a mushroom there. Cool statue. This is a character in the game. It's a nice little nod to that. But there wasn't anything in this area. Just kind of exploring, and then I come back to the main, to fight the main enemy. And just kind of taking the beauty. See, the sun's not as bright right now. It's not, well, I guess it is over there. So these are the toughest, like, first third of the game. These will be the toughest things you have to face. And I mean, I died so many damn times by these Cyclops in the game. Because I didn't have those spikes early. So I had to fight them. And here I'm trying to grab he throws that at me and I can take it from him, but it kept highlighting him instead of the frickin' pillar, so I kept getting hit. I pull it off successfully at some point though. You'll see how he was highlighted in white. Yeah, you get hit by that twice, you're toast too. So I try to just build up their stun. See there, I grabbed it, and you get a pretty good damage if you throw it back at him. Just don't get hit. I actually did a perfect dodge there. Doesn't give you a whole lot of time. So I got the stun, and then I use regular attack so that my stamina builds back up, and then I use a special. I got a little greedy there. Because then once you get the red, then it takes way longer to get your stamina. It's like overdrawn on your checking account. Savings it. Well, yeah, checking account. you overdraw on your stamina, and you pay the price. Here, I said, you know what, I'm just going to throw this at him, and I missed. You notice how it kind of got a little darker. It looks like the sun's behind a cloud a bit. You know, the colors kind of change, and that's as close you get to like dynamic weather. Is just the time of day changes. Sometimes the sun gets covered by clouds, and then there is areas that are covered in mist and haze, depending on if it's like morning or if it's like Aries area. There's a lot of dust. It's like so it's always kind of hazy, almost like a windstorm in the desert. So he's pretty much toast. I picked up that stun there, and this is very. I've been kind of talking over that whole thing, but there's a lot of enemies that take that kind of effort, you know. And is it worth it for a chest? Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is, but it's just, for me, it's like, it's really enticing, even if I don't think the reward's going to be great. Just to battle enemies and challenge myself, you know, with certain tough enemies. And then there's legendary, it's almost like Xenoblade. There's like legendary creatures that are like ridiculously strong defense and damage they do. They kill you at one hit, you know, like. And then I think, yeah, it ends with like a montage of like actual clips from the main game. It gives you an idea of some of the possibilities. Those storms happen throughout the game, and you just have to like avoid these tentacles and fight enemies. Just a lot of the. Here's a vault there. Here's that's like Ares, I believe. Or not Ares, Achilles. That's like an upgrade to your hammer. Let me back that up though. I'm gonna pause on a couple of these because. Alright, so these storms happen throughout your exploration just randomly, and then like these tentacles will pop up, and like Achilles will come out and like ghost form basically and attack you. You either run or you fight them. That's this is on the path to Mount Olympus. This area is actually really challenging because there's a lot of areas that have like a blue, like icy look to them, and then your stamina immediately is gone, and it doesn't come back. So you have to get back to you have to light lamps and stuff to heat it up so you can continue on. That was a very challenging area. Didn't do a lot of underwater swimming in my playthrough. Here's like a sunrise or sunset example of how all the colors change. Looks, absolutely stunning in my opinion. I love the color palette. I took like 130 something screenshots in my playthrough on PS4. Yeah, that's another look of Mount Olympus. And like I said, no dynamic weather. This area is snowing and stuff a lot, but the clouds will cover the sun and stuff. And this is Ares' area, which is almost like a desert. Just really diverse, and this is a vault, but really diverse landscapes, so you don't feel like you're playing in the same area the whole time. And then this is like one of the more challenging navigational puzzles in the game, where you literally are on this it's harder than Breath of the Wild because I played it on hard, so as a difficulty setting. So you're on these pillars are moving, and they go underneath here, and to get this to open up, I had to use my gauntlets to grab a little steel box, throw it in this opening, and so it landed on the switch. It would open this gate, and you got to do all that in a short amount of time. So some of the vaults were really actually challenging in a good way, in my opinion. Nothing frustrating. So you open it and then get back on the platform, and then this is in a vault. This is Ares' area, like I was saying. It's hazy, but it's doing it because you're in like a low spot, probably one of the lower points in the map. It's a desert, and the sun is just coming up over here, it's aesthetically, it's done for aesthetic purposes. I think it looks gorgeous. You got this green hue, you got the orange sand, you got this orange yellowish rocks, and this is the upgrade you get to the hammer, where it creates this shockwave. That's what that's one of the ways you upgrade those special abilities. It definitely had a better end boss fight than Breath of the Wild, I'd say. So, really good game. I mean, I was not expecting to love it. I played the demo on Stadia, and I was like, this is pretty fun. I'll try it. It dropped to $30. I picked it up. And like I said a little bit ago, I'd wish I paid $60, to be honest with you. That sounds crazy. But it was just such a good game that, I want to support a good game. I don't think this game's going to sell well at all. Ubisoft is stupid. They released 3 games, like, all close together, and I don't think... Guessing Assassin's Creed Valhalla is probably the best selling, and then you had Watch Dogs Legion, and you had Immortals. Like, within a month, these 3 big, huge open world games, and I'm pretty sure maybe Immortals will do better than Watch Dogs because it's on Switch as well. But just out of curiosity, I haven't really I played the demo, but I haven't really looked up Switch footage. I know they had an update, because I guess it ran really poorly initially. There's a review. I don't really need a review. I just kind of want to... I just want some Switch gameplay. I don't know this YouTube channel, so let me see here. I'll just drag her over. And I mean, you were watching a recording of me playing. This is a YouTube stream of a YouTube video, so it's going to be lower quality by default. Just curious how... wow. Yeah, that's quite the drop off there. Let's see. This is the very beginning of the game. And this is at night. But it's definitely the same game, but at the same time, it looks like a shadow of itself. Like it feels like the soul of the art direction is gone. But I'll jump ahead to like daytime. We'll see how it looks. It's more of a fair comparison. And he picked a male. Yeah, it looks I mean, it looks decent. Water's probably the worst. And these are these things that I turned off. I would turn off in the beginning for sure. Of course, you're not gonna find too many like late game. Doesn't look amazing. Let me see if I can find the main area. That's what we want. But if that's all you got, I'd still recommend, even if you only have the Switch, I'd still recommend it. So let's find like the main area. Okay, so as you can see, this looks more like a cartoon version of the game. Like, I know it's cartoony, but you've lost quite a bit of what I would say the wow factor. Like I said, the soul of the visuals, the art direction, the art style, whatever. I feel like, and you do only have 3 health chunks in the beginning. It wouldn't be, like I said, it's still playable, and if that's all you had, I still recommend it. You'd get used to it, but it's definitely not. this looks like what I would imagine, like, I hate to say it, and, this is probably a little extreme, but this almost feels like what a Wii version would look like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at how there is nothing in the background here. The tree density's diminished, and the texture, the level of detail, draw distance is just ridiculously low. So it's just weird. It's like I said, like the Wii version, like the Vita version, this is what it feels like. This is a pretty significant drop, and yeah, I was playing it at high settings on PC, so not really fair, but Xbox One S, is probably in between this version and the PC version I was just playing. But it really doesn't feel like the same. Visually, it's not the same experience, not even close. And I know that's typical. It's obvious, for Switch, but it does take away one of the best, in my opinion, one of the better aspects of the game is the art style. The vault looks decent, though. This is one of the puzzles where you have to carry that so you can climb it. Oh, he fucked that up, dude. Yeah, the vault don't look too bad, though. That's a good example. I didn't show the vaults. But anyway, that's enough about that. I'd recommend at least trying the demo. It's not gonna... I think it took, like, on my computer, I think it took... It's 4 gigs. I mean, it was under 10 minutes to install, to download and install. Maybe like probably like 6-7 minutes. I feel like on Switch it was a little longer. It did crash my Switch, so that's something to be concerned about if you do plan on getting it for that. I don't know about the full game, but my PS4 never crashed. So anyway, we've been on way longer than I planned. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you guys will give the game a try. I mean, you might not love it. You may not like it. I think if you play the demo and you don't really care for it, I'd say you're probably not going to like the main game. The main game is significantly better than the demo. A lot more variety and stuff. But, if you don't like the demo, you're probably not going to like the main game. If you like the demo, then you're probably going to really like the main game, the full game. So that's all I got. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you probably Monday for the Juiceless podcast. So peace out.